There is a certain series that I've fallen in love with during these past 2 years. I discovered it after I played the original Dark Souls, because I heard it was heavily influenced and inspired by the series. It's brutal, epic, sad, inspiring, and doesn't hold back its punches. It shows you the depths of mankind, the depth of our violent past, but most importantly, it shows us how to overcome anything through willpower and resilience. This is Berserk. I love Berserk. It's a series that has taught me a lot of things regarding strength, staying resilient, staying committed, and discipline during tough times. It's a series that has gotten a lot of praise, and it deserves every ounce of it, because this is one of the best mangas of all time. If peak fiction would be narrowed down to one piece of fiction, for me it'd be Berserk. So, what makes Berserk so good? Why am I talking about it in such high regards? Well, let me share with you the things that stuck out to me while reading this fantastic manga. Berserk is a Japanese manga series written and illustrated by the late Kentaro Miura, may he rest in peace. Set in a medieval Europe-inspired dark fantasy world, the story revolves around one character, Guts. A badass swordsman who is the epitome of no fucks given. While he may seem like a cold-hearted swordsman, he's a very troubled person, blinded by trauma, and is determined to have free will even when there is none. This manga delves deep into the horrors of our past, especially when it comes to the brutal nature of mankind. It's horrifying. This story is filled with deceit, corruption, violence, and horror. It shows the brutal nature of mankind right down to the bone. There were some scenes in this manga that I was completely dumbfounded by how brutal some of these panels were. But the thing is, the most brutal and disturbing scenes are necessary for Berserk. It makes you hate the characters that the creator wants us to hate. It clearly shows us who is the antagonist. This effect also carries on to the good characters, like the main character, Guts. The characters of Berserk feel very well fleshed out, and that's quite rare because most characters these days just seem like NPCs. Every character in this series has very nuanced and fleshed out backgrounds, stories, and a strong sense of judgment. You can classify each character very easily because they are so well thought out in this franchise, even though most of them aren't going to be around for long. Oh wait, that line's completely spoilers. Oh, fuck. For example, Guts isn't just a lonely, cold-blooded swordsman. He's a deeply mistrusting person, blinded by the trauma he had in his past. But deep down, he's a virtuous and brave person. To bring up another example, Griffith seems nice, courageous, thoughtful, and he seems like a good leader. Someone who would always stick up for his friends and stand by the people at his side. But then, that's definitely, The characters in this series are always changing as their environment and circumstances change. They're always evolving, growing, and adapting. This gives Berserk an aura of mystery around each character. There's always more to learn and appreciate about these characters, and it's what really keeps the intrigue going. Now to more surface level things. The art of Berserk. To put it shortly, Berserk is gorgeous, absolutely stunning. There's never been a moment when I've been reading this manga that I wouldn't be absolutely astonished by the art. The panels and the way they are drawn, precise shapes, details that will completely shock you, and a beautiful art style that wraps it all together is amazing. This manga is beautiful. Even the 97 anime, that is very old and had a low budget, still looks quite good. There's just something about Miura's sense of art style and drawing that is absolutely breathtaking. It's an absolute treat to look at. Even through a phone or a monitor, it always looks good. It never gets normal. Every panel looks amazing, and is detailed down to the last bit. With all the dark themes and brutal events, Berserk is also filled with a message that helps you out in the real world. In our world. A message about carving your own path and overcoming the struggles of life. Staying resilient and strong in the face of adversity, and dedicating yourself to a dream. My opinion is that, from both the side of Guts and Griffith, the message is about breaking free from fate and forging your own path, ascending from a peasant to a king. You can have the worst start in life, but where you end up is up to you. There are a lot of positive and negative messages, but I think the main one is, no matter the size of your struggle, you can overcome it. To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. This is a series about pursuing your own purpose, and most importantly, finding your purpose. The main character, Guts, seems almost lost in a lot of the story. Because he doesn't have a true purpose that is lifelong, he ends up fighting for money to survive. He's drifting through life as if he doesn't control his. Until he realizes that he isn't fulfilling his own dreams and grabs his sword, packs his bags, and dedicates himself to finding his purpose. Until, all too tragically, he wanders back into his old life, and everything changes in the eclipse. And we're not going to talk about the eclipse, that's just no. Guts' struggle to find his own path is very relatable. I'm pretty sure all of us can relate to that, because at one point in our lives, we didn't know what to do. He only feels safe when he has a sword by his side. He has trouble getting close to people, and the only life he knows is killing and fighting to make money and survive. This is a theme that is continued throughout the series. The reason Guts is referred to as the struggler is because he never gives up. He never backs down in the face of adversity, no matter how bad the odds are. Guts is probably the most mentally strong character I have seen in any form of fiction. As with my previous video, where the main message was that struggling and difficulty are good for you, and are the things that build you, this manga expands on that theme so much more. This is a story about struggle, friendship, betrayal, and overcoming the odds. It's a beautiful story, and I'm very thankful for this manga, because it taught me things that I hadn't even thought about. Now, these were just a handful of things that stuck out to me about Berserk. There's so much more to cover about this manga, and I'm sure I will do that in the future. But for now, Berserk is an absolute masterpiece. One of the best mangas of all time, and a piece of fiction that I, and like so many others, will never forget. I will always remember the things I learned from this series, and I hope you will read it so you can experience it firsthand. And as always, struggle, endure, contend.
For that alone is the sword of one who defies death. Do not forget these words.